original package here. So.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think they know what they know what they're each playing, and Hector knows what he needs to look for too.
Sure.
So that's a part of it as well. And we see that Dylan goes ahead and starts out with a Robin Hood and passes it over to Hector.
All right, Robin Hood, a decent start here. If he's able to shift into Robin Hood, could be something a little problematic for Hector to deal with right away until he gets to a Medusa or a Ice Block.
And I do see, I believe I see the shift Robin Hood in his hand, so he's not bluffing in this instance.
Okay, I do see as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're inking the Tinkerbell, and we're going with a Smee. Yep. Hector says, what does that card do? All right. 5/6 Tinker's annoying. Yeah, as long as Blue Fairy doesn't draw.
Yeah.
Wojciech's also unhappy with his package. Yeah, you know, sometimes...
Yeah. I've got to say, I've been underwhelmed with it as well.
You know, I've gotten a couple packages from Amazon that I was unhappy with, Wojciech, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you're talking about. So I'm sorry to hear that your packages weren't delivered in a way that you were happy with. So
yeah, and we're also going to be asking you after this finals match, just hang tight as well. We're going to do our best to try to get the players together to do a post-game interview, talk to them, and so we're going to ask that you sit tight if you're interested in hearing a little bit about some of those deck decisions and you know, get a chance to hear from the players themselves.
Yeah, we'll pull them in the booth as soon as we're done here and get to kind of touch base and see how they feel about everything. So
yeah, and so we see that Dylan is in the process of deciding what it is that needs to happen in order for him to seal this matchup.
I'm just laughing at chat.
What's going on?
I was literally just opening my Pokemon Pocket pack in the middle of the stream here, and Wojciech says his Pokemon Pocket win rate is like 25%, which is actually pretty funny. So, all right, and the big Robin Hood comes down with the shift.
Yeah.
And we do see now a shift, a Smee and a Robin Hood together here.
Yeah.
As Dylan chooses to draw 2 cards here and then go ahead and quest for 2.
Yeah, Hector has 3 ink on the board and nothing to show for it, quite frankly. He was able to play a Sylvie Azurite Sea. He did draw a card from that. But Hector is off to a slow start. We do see Grandma Tala, so might be getting a little bit of filtering through his deck and deciding now which of the cards from those top 2 of his deck that he's going to hold on to. Hopefully they'll make a difference for him because Dylan is off to the races.
Just the top 2 or more from the top cut. I'm not sure. We'll see if anybody else is in the building that wants to chat that was in the top 8. But most likely, for sure, the winner. Most likely top 2 for sure. Other players left already? Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if everybody was gone already. But I'm sure you'll hear DeCandio tell his experiences on his YouTube channel. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of other information coming out from the players here. So don't worry, guys. You will definitely get to hear from everybody at some point. But after this game, most likely we will talk to Hector and Dylan about their experience today. All right.
Yeah,
and just want to remind you guys the end of the night here, but thank you guys so much for joining us today here. It's been a long, eventful day here at Southside Gaming here in Margate, Florida. They've been so gracious and given us, you know, such an amazing time, doubling the prize from 2 to 4 cases for a free event. Definitely not something that they had to do, and they did it because they really want to see this community flourish. So if you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe on their channel. Definitely check out Southside Gaming, and if you're ever in the area, come by, let them know you watch the stream, and they will always take care of you. So really great people here.
Yeah, and there's plans to run more of these events, so follow them on their socials so you can hear. Just so you know, aside from the main event here, we also had pods that were running 8-person pods, $15 per person, where a box and an enchanted was given out to each of those pods to split that to win that prizing. So we'd love to see you here. This is a great store for the community.
Absolutely, and we do see Dylan and Hector doing some challenging, some interactions here with Maui and the Smee, and the goat stands alone here for Dylan as he adds a beast to the party and quests with the goat up to 7 more.
Dylan is looking for that card advantage. That's one of the names of the game here for a deck that is designed around Blue Fairy. It wants to draw as much as it can. It wants to see its deck, and it needs to do so in a way that will quickly get to that 20 count.
Gotcha. Curious to see if Hector is at some point here able to scrounge together a Medusa so that he can easily clear this beast away. But right now it looks like Maui Shark is gonna have to do for now. And Dylan's like, what is
Yeah,
that?
Dylan being reminded of what this card does.
Dylan says, that's a lot of text on that. What is?
Yeah.
Let me read all that. Maui Shark coming in and really putting in some work today for Hector. Definitely really impressive to see that card. Obviously, everybody was anticipating that card being good, but seeing it in effect definitely really been a great card to see today. It really surprised me.
Yeah, and it's a cool card too. It's a great art, and I think it's a cool character with the half shark.
Surprised they didn't get an enchanted, to be honest.
I am too, if I'm being honest.
Considering how popular of a character Maui is. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But here we are. And Blue Fairy gets added to the board.
It does.
As well as a Aladdin, who will trigger the Blue Fairy. Hector forgot what Blue Fairy does, so
Yes.
he's going to take a quick peek.
It's been a long time.
Yep, Blue Fairy drawing some cards. And again, I know we mentioned this earlier, but Dylan's deck, very reminiscent of the old Bucky decks, where you would play a Bucky on turn 2, and then a bunch of shifts to just take advantage of Bucky's effect. Essentially the same concept here with Blue Fairy, just playing a bunch of shift packages so that Blue Fairy continuously draws cards, and really just keeping the gas on the pedal there, or the foot on the pedal, rather.
And Skinner, if we could just please not complain about the Blue Fairy, or else we're going to get another errata, please.
Oh, no, we're not complaining about the Blue Fairy. She doesn't have wards, so I'm quite okay with the Blue Fairy.
Fair enough. All
So
right.
she's good to go in my book.
All right. And so the Maui Half Shark challenges the GOAT. And with the action that he's allowed to bring back, Hector chooses that Sail the Azurite Sea.
Oh, gets back to Sail. Okay. All right.
And just a reminder here, every action that Hector plays with the Half Shark out nets him a lore.
What do you think about a one of Pirate's Life in this deck?
I mean, if you can squeeze it in, I think Pirate's Life in this deck would be.
Can you imagine just like
ideal.
continuously recurring
Yeah, it'd be
Pirate's
crazy.
Life off your Maui and then singing it and then
Yeah.
continuing?
What I'd like to see is a red green that uses a Pirate's Life with the Robin Hood from last set as well. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. That's a little more spicy than probably what someone may want to have to invest time in, but
Blue Fairy is like the most fair thing ever. Yeah, it is pretty fair. It is pretty fair.
Yeah, it is.
It is not should not be compared to its
No.
evil squirrel brother.
No, that poor and to be fair, I'm sure there's a lot of debate on this still, but it's not the squirrel that was the problem. I think we've learned that too.
I think the squirrel was part of the problem, but clearly not the full picture. I think
Yeah.
it was there was an accomplice there that Squirrel took all the hits.
Yeah.
He took the blame. He got the full sentence, but
He did.
But it was a multiple job. It was an inside job.
It was 100%. The squirrel took it,
It was
like
an
a
inside
champ.
job, but the squirrel took the blame for everything. And we do see, I believe Dylan is on his turn right now, and he's scoping out what his decision's going to be here, and how he's going to deal with this shark. All right. The beast has gotten a lot of value. I have to agree there.
It has gotten a lot of value. Yeah.
Beast continues to tick away, draw cards. Blue Fairy drew cards.
Yeah.
The name of the game for Dylan here is just drawing as many cards as possible.
Yeah, that's the game that he is looking. He wins with the more cards he sees in his deck. His percentage rate goes up.
Absolutely. So Dylan hesitant about what he's going to play here, thinking about putting something down. All right. Chaotic Beats in the chat says, my beast never sticks this long versus red blue.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I felt earlier watching them playing against green steel. I was like, wow, my opponent never doesn't have Diablo on one into shift into Cove.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting to see it 2 games in a row where it didn't do that.
Yeah, it has been. These games have been something to watch, and for those reasons, I couldn't get that luck if I was able to. So
Hey, sometimes it's just not your day.
it's not. It's not.
So, all right, Dylan's still grinding his gears here, thinking about what is the best way to continue. And he does play a genie,
Nice.
one of
And
my
a foil
favorite
genie
cards.
at that.
Is it a foil genie?
It is,
Okay,
yeah.
I can't tell from here. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite cards in this new set, if not my favorite. Not only because I love the genie, one of my favorite Disney characters, but I love seeing a playable genie. Haven't been able to really play with genie since set 1 when I used to play the green big evasive one.
That was a good genie.
And I would love to play him again someday, but I am happy to see a new genie at least filling his shoes for the time being. So
Absolutely, and that genie is powerful when it's in a conversation that potentially would knock Rabbit out of a purple deck. So
I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of debate about that. I do think that Rabbit is still an insane card. with the bounce package. However, Genie just puts so much pressure with that 2 lore and the
Yeah.
evasive that it is hard to deny that the value of the extra card from the rabbit, is comparable. But I mean, I don't know, depending on the deck.
Yeah.
Some people are playing both, I believe. Yeah, so actually, Dylan's playing both. He's playing rabbit, 1 rabbit, 3 Genie. So
Yeah.
he wasn't sold completely on getting rid of the
Yeah.
rabbits yet.
Yeah, I
so.
think Dylan is testing the waters to see if it's time to say goodbye. I'll tell you that in my build, I'm running green purple. I'm currently split. I'm running 3 of each right now.
3 of each.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite a bit, but
It is, but it's worth it.
But everybody's trying new stuff, which is what I love about this. Obviously, we know Azurite C just came out yesterday, guys. I've already spoken to some players on the floor, including Dylan, who have said, I would have changed this, I would have changed that. So don't get too attached to the list this week. The metagame is going to be evolving and changing very rapidly throughout the next few weeks. But it's really cool to be able to host an event and seeing what kind of creativity people have come up with only 24 hours to put this together here. So.
And we had the opportunity to see Dylan mark his path through the 7 rounds of Swiss going into this final matchup here, and we saw him dispatch green steel. We saw him handle some crazy aggro decks, but we also saw him hold his own when it came to slower decks as well. So this seems to be a very well-rounded deck. It can kind of solve for what it needs in the moment. It can be fast. It can answer problems. It has bigger threats. So I think Dylan's deck does a great job of kind of doing what it needs.
That is a really good tink. Clears away 2 immense threats here.
Yeah, that was high value. That was a high value tink drop.
Knocks out the Shark and the Sisu.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely phenomenal, and it would allow Dylan to continue his quest, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And, continue to lure up there. And Dylan still with a ton of cards in hand, as expected from all the drawing he's been doing. Hector's going to use the Tala to take a look at the top 2 and see if there's anything in there that is of interest to help him get away from this pressure that he's dealing with at the moment.
And there's quite a bit of pressure. You've got extra draw every turn. You've got a character that makes you think about turning your character sideways. The pressure is coming from all avenues for Hector at this point.
Absolutely. Hector looks like he decided on a card here.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll either see it or, And
it's a Sisu.
It is a small Sisu, unable to take advantage of its effect quite yet. But we can only imagine there is a big one to follow.
Yeah, or he just needs to have bodies on the board as well. So.
Sure. Looks like Dylan drawing another card off this beast. This beast is just absolutely cooking on cards here.
Yeah.
We see that Hector, unfortunately, I believe he's only playing 1 Medusa. And I'm sure he's having regrets about that right now. As this beast continues to tick on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly putting Hector in a dangerous spot here. We're seeing Dylan's hand now. We're seeing another beast. We're seeing what appears to be a rabbit. So there's plenty of ways for Dylan to continue drawing. He's choosing to play the rabbit to see more of his deck. He's considering what else to play. He's got what looks like the bell to move damage. He's got the new Tinkerbell from this set. So it is quite the hand that Dylan has to keep putting pressure on Hector.
Something I didn't notice, and now I'm looking at Dylan's deck and noticing. I realized he wasn't playing the the snakes, Mim snakes, but he's not playing Mim Fox either.
That's a good point. I didn't notice that either. You're right.
That's kind of ludicrous, and I kind of salute Dylan for being brave enough to do that, because I feel like every purple deck I have, you got to play at least the Fox.
You would think so.
But he said no Fox. He's just playing 1 rabbit and 4 goat.
Do you think maybe he's afraid of the new staff? Do you think he was worried that we'd see the staff at a higher rate? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think he just maybe wanted to lean away from the evasive or from the bounce package to lean more into that blue fairy package.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Fox is still pretty great card here.
It is,
but,
Fox
but
is
clearly
pretty
Dylan has been navigating just fine without it today.
Yeah, listen, the proof is in the pudding here.
Yeah,
you know what?
Absolutely. No, I'm definitely surprised.
You heard it. Dylan says, "Take out your foxes."
Yeah, well, maybe.
Let's not get too far.
Maybe, but so far it looks like he's handling it just fine.
Absolutely, and that rabbit jumped in and got kicked right back out as soon as it got jumped in, drawing another card for Dylan. We see that Hector is able to deal with the beasts using the big Sisu that just came down. And yeah, we're seeing what looks like just the slow increase in ink count for Hector, going to heal the big Sisu to buy it some time. And we're seeing now Dylan's making some decisions, but Dylan does have Zeus in his hand as well, so he does not have to trade.
Dylan has so
Yeah.
many cards.
He does, yeah. So Dylan does not have to trade if he doesn't want to. He can, or at least not his Tinkerbell specifically. He can choose to blast that Sisu out of the water. Has many choices to be made here, and I want to thank the 132 viewers that are currently watching this stream. Crazy. We thank you again from Southside Gaming. We thank you so much for watching the stream, and we hope you're enjoying the games as much as Skinner and I are.
Absolutely. And well, many more tournaments and many more games to come. And super excited to get to spend this Saturday seeing some new brewers from the Azurite Sea. And yeah, we're at the finals now. And this is for all the marbles here. There are no splits. I know Florida gets a bad rep for splitting top eights. No splits today, guys. We are playing for all the marbles as Dylan locks up a Smee and a Beast.
Yes.
So we finally dealt with the Beast, and Dylan says, "Yeah, well, about that. Here's another
Yeah,
one."
tell me more about that. Let's see what can happen. We've got a ready phase, and Hector needs to decide. He needs to look at a top card, or the top 5 even, to decide whether or not this game is worth playing out.
Okay, he's got Brawl. He got a couple of cards there, but
Yeah.
18 lore is quite. I know we've seen Hector crawl out of some
Yeah, I mean,
holes today, but I don't know. This hole's pretty deep.
it's pretty deep. He does have the ability to sing. He can sing. Be prepared to try to buy a turn here at this point, if he has it. It'll be interesting to see what Hector does to try to climb out of this particular hole.
Absolutely. Got to keep in mind, Dylan does play goats, so he does have access to that instant burst if he needs to.
Yep.
18 is a very dangerous place to be, but Hector continues to dig and try to find an answer.
Yeah. And while he has goats, he does not have the bounce.
Oh,
but
and he top
is.
decks
Yeah.
the B prep and sings it with the Sisu,
Yep.
which will put him not in a great place, but better than he was a moment ago.
Yeah, and that was a top deck, by the way. He drew it when he needed it.
That is a great way to do it.
Yep.
And let's see, Dylan back on the aggression here, so he gets to go ahead and load up the board with some more stuff. I do see a Friends on the other side, as well as a Fire the Cannons in his hand.
Yep.
So a couple things there that he can play that will not be on the board. But we do see a Bell as well. Bell, a solid 4/4. We do rather have her move damage around, but
Yeah.
it looks like he's considering maybe inking it.
Yeah, I mean, what other bodies are in his hand? I think is really the question here. I think you wonder, is it worth establishing a board presence? And he does.
So he plays. I know Hector's gonna want to read that card most likely.
Yeah, well, I think he may have read it, but I think
I know I would read it.
yeah,
That
there's a lot of words.
A big old Tinkerbell.
Yeah, that is the one that if she, whenever this character quests, your other fairy characters get +1 lore this turn. So
Right. So she pumps up other Tinkerbells,
Yeah.
as well as the blue fairy, and Hector says, "No, you got it."
you've got it. Yeah.
Dylan, while you would think that he'd be a little more favored in this matchup just because he's playing an aggressive strategy, I would say it just depends how long the game goes.
I would agree. And when we say aggressive, Dylan's deck does have the ability to reach. It does have things like Mr. Smee. It does have the new 3-drop Tinkerbell, the evasive 1/3. So it does. He does have some two questers. It's not as crazy as some of the aggressive decks that we've seen, but it can have the reach early on if it needs to, in order to just create a significant blowout.
Absolutely.
And I think it really depends on how we get to those tools and how if he is able to see them at a time where Hector is still building up.
Sure. Hector starts off with a popsicle, which is a great place to start if you're Hector.
Yeah.
And we see Dylan already a little stumped on what to ink for his first turn.
Yeah, now we do see that he's got the goat in his hand. It looks like we see a Chernobog's followers in there as well. I see what looks like a couple of Pete's even in there.
Yeah. And a lot of stuff to play with here.
Yeah.
I believe we're going to start by inking this goat. Oh, actually, it's a blue fairy.
It is.
It does look like a blue fairy.
It is
yeah.
it is a blue fairy. Yeah, it looks like a blue fairy.
It is a blue fairy we're inking. And dealing with the Chernobog's followers to start it off.
Yeah.
I did see a Robin Hood as well in hand, so he did
Correct.
have a couple of options there. Choosing to go with the Bog just because he's able to maybe draw a card and cycle it if he needs to. So just valuing that draw over the possible shift package of the Robin Hood.
Yeah, and I think that we are seeing some decisions that could impact Dylan in the future. There are some cards in that hand that you might not want to part with now, or that you may have to part with now that you'd like to see later. So, this really goes back to what we talked about with how important your inking decisions can be in this game. We are certainly in a position for Dylan where something like this could bite him later on if he gives away something that he could use later.
Absolutely. We've talked about this throughout the whole day. I'm not to, beat a dead horse per se, but inking is a lot more complicated than most players think.
Yeah.
A lot of people just say, "Oh, this card's inkable. Put it down there. Play your next card." However, just knowing what the matchup is, knowing what cards you're going to need later on in this matchup, and whether or not it's affordable to be able to
Yeah.
put them into the inkwell is very important. We see Big
Yeah.
Tink going down, which I think is a great thing to ink in this matchup. Obviously, Tinkerbell, although she did get some ridiculous
Yeah.
value in the last game, overall not the strongest card into a red-blue control deck. So I do like Dylan inking that there and choosing to just play a couple one drops here and just go a little wide against Hector's blue-red deck here.
Yeah, and Hector, of course, being able to open up with Popsicle turn 1, Tipo turn 2, which is exactly what you want to see playing a blue-red deck. That seems to be the ideal play line here.
Sure.
So we'll see if Hector has the curve as he's hoping to get here.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's see here. So we continue to move along our final game here. Dylan looking at his hand here. Just shout out to both players in general.
Yeah.
This has just been such a cool event, and love seeing this variety in our top cut today. I don't want to sound like a hater on Diablo, but very happy to see that there was a very mixed bag of decks in our top cut today, and really happy to see that these two are battling it out for all the marbles here with their decks.
Yeah, and it's not even hate to Diablo. I think if we see a diverse meta, we're happy with it. Even if that diverse meta includes that stinky little bird.
Sure, and it is still week one. Like I said, there's a lot to come. But overall, just really happy with the amount of variety that we got to stream today and got to cast today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of really cool decks and really cool ideas out there. We know obviously that decks are going to change. But just getting to see kind of where everybody's head is at really showed us some really cool possibilities. We saw an awesome location deck.
We did, yeah.
We saw green purple with Diablos in it. I mean, we saw all sorts of stuff. And here we've made it this far. Now we have our purple steel versus red blue in the finals.
Yep, and we've got, again, it looks like Hector is just following the playbook here. We've got a Sisu down, ready for a potential shift next turn if needed.
Depot traded in, and then we also had a ice block, take the Robin Hood down a notch, and Sisu cleaning him off the table there.
Yeah, so Dylan is, of course, in a position now where he needs to decide what the right moves are in order to restabilize. If Hector can get moving and quick enough, then this may be over before it started for Dylan.
We do see that shift package in the hand for Robin Hood.
Yep.
Dylan definitely was hoping most likely that Robin Hood lived to fight another day there, so he could have used that shift there to try to climb ahead. But unfortunately, Hector was all over that and able to snipe out that Robin Hood to prevent that shift from coming down. So instead we have this Aladdin, who has not been able to break any items so far, but he's still a shift package that combos with the Blue Fairy, which is not in play at the moment, but would normally draw him a card, which is great.
If Hector does not draw that Flaversham, that Aladdin might get a chance to do just that. The Aladdin looks like it's in a position where it can crack some items. We'll see if Flaversham can come in and potentially give Hector some draw before Dylan can snipe away some scary stuff.
Absolutely, and Chad agreeing that Hector looking like it is in a much more dominating position this game. Red-blue looking more like itself this game for sure. And, up to now, Hector keeping the lore at 1, which is right where he wants it to stay as long as possible. And even getting ahead on lore here, which is a little nice. Is it supposed to be 3 or 2?
I think they may have missed one from earlier.
Okay, maybe he's comparing a paper here. Again, we are looking from the outside looking in, guys. Just want to make sure we are keep. Oh, he missed it from Tipo. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got a heads up that he was behind a lore from Tipo. So the score is 3-1 with Hector leading in the lore race so far.
Yeah.
Lore is correct. Okay, perfect. Thank you to our eye in the sky for keeping us updated. Since we are in a whole different room here, we are not on the floor with the players. So thank you for keeping us updated.
Yeah.
And Goat coming down on curve, just providing an extra little boost to the lore there. As Dylan continues to find a way to try to build up a board here that Hector cannot just immediately dismantle.
Yeah, and without the bounce package, you have to argue that the goat loses a little bit of value, not being able to just be bouncing everywhere. However, you're still talking about a character with 4 attack, which puts it outside of things like Brawl, puts it outside of things like Sisu, and creates a unique situation for Red. In order to remove it, it needs to use some of its bigger removable items to do so.
Absolutely. And Maui coming down, and enchanted Maui while we're at it.
Showing off, I see
Well,
Hector.
yeah, you know Hector's always got the bling, and takes out the Aladdin, and just puts only a couple damage on it, considering that the ice block was
Yeah.
able to prevent some damage. Although he didn't exert the ice block, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened there.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting,
That's the vibe.
and it is quite the vibe here.
And Tipo, all right, yeah, he's got 3 damage. Wait, is the ice block in the discard pile? I can't tell. Hector's got stuff kind of all over the place, so.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. Popsicle certainly seems as though it is in the board, or the popsicle seems like it's on the board, and ice block.
Aladdin popped the ice block.
Aladdin popped it. Okay, thank you for that.
All right, it was hard to tell the way Hector has his deck sideways and stuff, so I wasn't sure.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right, so we just have a single popsicle in play. So suddenly, what was once a pretty wide board gets cleaned up by Grab Your Swords.
Yep.
So goodbye to all the Sisus, and Goat goes ahead and trucks for one more lore.
Yep, it is accruing value. Every time you can turn that goat sideways without getting rid of it, it is just netting value.
Absolutely.
And as it mounts the climb up towards that 20, it becomes more and more dangerous. It becomes more precarious.
Yeah.
And again, as I mentioned before, while we don't have the bounce package to kind of boost its reach, it is still not the thing you want to have to deal with for too long.
Absolutely. And if Hector's unable to deal with this blue fairy here, which it looks like he's not going to have an answer for it quite yet, possibility that Dylan just continues to draw into more and more cards here. I didn't see a shift package in his hand quite yet, but I can only imagine with the amount that he plays that he will draw into one, and will continue to draw cards. Essentially every card replacing itself as he plays it.
Yeah, and
there
we're
you
seeing
go.
Robin Hood
As
with
you see,
with a blue fairy draw on top of that.
Yep, so Robin Hood just replaces itself, and we have a 3/6 in play now, which is quite the menace, especially against Hector, who is not playing that many Medusas, which we're definitely used to seeing, 2-3 Medusas. Hector is on a single copy of Medusa, which Dylan may or may not know, but still, bad news for Hector when he wants to get rid of that Robin Hood for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'll see what Hector's able to scrounge up here. Hector so far been able to keep himself ahead of this game. Dylan definitely making a burst here to try to make a move here.
Dylan is trying to put Hector in positions where he's forced to use removal that he wouldn't otherwise. You don't want to go too far either. If you're dealing with a be prepared, you don't want to go too wide. You want to be just wide enough that you have to deal with it, and then that way you can keep the pressure going after that be prepared.
Absolutely, definitely agree.
It'll be interesting to see how Hector responds to the board as it currently sits. They're currently tied for lore. Their board state is in a bit of a flux right now, so we're looking to see how we can recover.
Yeah, Hector, we're at that B prep territory soon, which might be a quick way to reset this game and try to turn it back into our favor. For now, Hector just digging through, just trying to see as many cards as he can in his deck. Here comes most likely how far I'll go. Oh, it's actually a Hiram, which is a great thing to see right now, as he decides to trade in the Tala for the goat.
Yeah, and card draw for Hector means potentially more answers to deal with the board.
Absolutely, Hiram is a good one to see. That's definitely a great start for Hector to try to get back into the control aspect of this game.
Yeah, and Hector doing such a great job of locking the game down early on gives Hector the flexibility to do this.
Absolutely.
You know, so he can take time to do this. He can take time to draw because of what a strong start he had.
Absolutely.
And Dylan just not seeing and not really being where he wanted to be at the start of this game, kind of forced into a position where it just gets scarier as each turn passes.
Absolutely. And Dylan sends a barrage of or it looked like it would be a Zeus and a
fire the cannon
and a cannon.
Yep. So
he's bolt and a what is it? A cannonball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Towards the rat.
That was a very expensive way to deal with that Hiram.
But it's gone.
It is gone. It is 2 less cards that he could potentially draw next turn by popping that popsicle. So Dylan decided to lose 2 cards to stop Hector from getting 2 cards. I think that
either way, Hector was going to get 2 cards up on him, so chooses to remove the rat, and
never mind.
Hector says thanks, but no thanks.
I believe what Hector said is JK.
JK, and the foil Hiram is back in black.
Yes, right.
So, if you will.
That's right, and so this is not great. Dylan did not want to see that Hiram drop down.
Yep. After all that work we put into it.
Yep.
We thought we had apprehended the rat, but the rat is back.
It is back. There is absolutely a rat infestation at SSG.
Absolutely.
Yes.
A lot of these rats running around. Ooh, we got a little stone dragon.
Great stone dragon, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some targets in there waiting for him. That Hiram that he just lost. A couple of Sisus that were played this game as well. So there are some nice targets to choose from.
For sure.
In that discard pile.
Absolutely true. And passing it back over to Dylan, and Dylan, he's got a decent characters on board, but right now neither player is in a very demanding position here, or commanding position rather.
Yeah.
We do see okay. So we had some pressure. We had a P to the board, which is definitely going to possibly slow Hector down, not being able to be prepared. And then we throw another Smee in there, pretty much guaranteeing that he's going to be able to get 2 lore next turn.
Yeah.
Considering that Sisu will not take care of it.
We'll have to wonder whether or not that Pete was actually powerful or not. Hopefully, we get a chance to see Hector's hand to figure out.
I would imagine he's got at least some form of action in his hand.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we'll see. Yeah.
We got the rat. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah.
The rat, a classic. Fellow Lorcanian Illumineer.
Yeah, I was supposed
champion.
to say. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in and watching, and shout out to the rat. That's the rat right there. That's
yeah.
He's the rat.
Yeah, we're over here talking smack about rats, and he's here, the Rat King even.
Yeah, the Rat King is just hanging out in chat, just repping his rats. So thanks for hanging out with us, buddy.
Yeah. And so we do see the big Sisu come down to try to build the board. It didn't do a whole lot to Dylan's board, but it is a body. It does represent things that have to be dealt with. And so we'll see where that lands for us.
Surfer Tinkerbell comes in. That's gonna be her name from now on. She's
Surfer Tink.
She's Surfer Tink that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. She's fluttering on her wings.
She's Surfer Tink, and she comes down, and so does 2 more lore from the Smee.
Wow, yeah. So Dylan may be able to claw this back, which is interesting. Hector had a strong start, but it looks like he's losing the ground game here.
And
this,
Dylan be able to clean a 2-0?
It's looking that way. We are approaching that, but it's not locked in yet. But we're going to find out in a moment, it seems, whether or not Hector can solve it. That Pete was a big deal for Dylan. If that Pete might have been the reason why. So it looks like Hector has a couple of Sail the Azurite Seas in hand. We're still not 100% if he's got to be prepared in there or not, but it can make a big difference for him.
All right, guys, and thank you for the heads up. Thank you for all the congratulations and stuff in the chat. We've been talking for 8 hours straight today, so sorry if the commentary is slowing down a little bit, but thank you guys for all the positive. This is my first time commentating. Gabe, is your first time commentating a little bit?
Yeah, you can say that. So yes, I've for Lorcana.
For Lorcana.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So both of our first times here, so there have been a little bit of bumps and hiccups, but we appreciate y'all being so supportive. One of our main things I love about the Lorcana community is no matter what it is, like everybody's always like, "You did awesome, you're the best." I know I feel that way when I see other players that I've never met before, like the Rat. Never met him in my life, but every time he wins, I'm like, yeah, get him with that green steel.
Catch him with
get
that
him
green
with that friar. Get him with that friar tuck.
I don't want Green Steel to win unless it's the Rat. Then I want him to win.
So yeah, we all support each other here in this game, and that's a beautiful community. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for being so awesome. We really do appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, and as we watch, Hector is in that phase now that we find ourselves when we are nearing the end of a game. We're looking for every play line. We're staring at the cards. We're hoping that they change, that they morph, that they turn into something that we need.
We're going to start calling that the refrigerator.
It's the refrigerator. You go in the refrigerator, you open the door, it's a bunch of condiments. You close the door and you hope you open it back up and there's something else.
It's just water and milk.
It's still just water and milk, and the milk is expired.
Oh, we got a cleanup on aisle 5, going ahead and taking out both these characters here, leaving just a one single Pete in play with 16 lore to Dylan. Dylan still pretty close to the finish line here, and not sure if Hector has enough in the tank to be able to stop it. There is a beast, which, as we discussed earlier, just playing one Medusa is going to be a little tricky to answer that beast cleanly.
It is, and beast, it just affords Dylan more card draw, gives more answers to slow down Hector. Can't imagine that Hector's excited about seeing it, especially given that doesn't currently have any solid answers in his hand for it. So we are seeing here kind of just that thought process, like, what do I do? How do I figure out what's next?
Absolutely. And a little hard to see how many cards Hector has in hand. I see the shadow of him shuffling them together. But not sure how many options we have. Okay, so we have a Tamatoa, which is always, the start of something great. But are we going to be able to string together enough where we can stop this output that Dylan is putting out at 17 lore? Dylan can smell the roses already. He's already counting looking at the case, sitting in the window. He's like ready to grab it. And will Dylan be the first 4-case champion for the Azurite C?
Yes,
we will see. We will see. It's game's not over yet, but
no, it's not. And Hector's deciding to let that big Sisu say goodbye by sending Pete away, banishing that Pete.
He had to.
Yep.
Passes it back. He gets to draw 2 cards.
Yep.
And he gets 2 lore, pushing him to 19. So at this point, Dylan just needs to draw into a goat, and that will seal the deal for Dylan. But let's see if we are able to piece together anything here. Dylan obviously free 2 lore if he chooses to take it on the table.
Right.
But is it worth risking the quest, or do we want to sit and try to get into a goat first?
And and it's clear given that he hasn't slammed it down. Okay, so he's going to try to flood the board and see what survives.
I like this.
And
Absolutely.
he's going to force Hector into a position to answer 2 ready characters on the table.
Would have loved to see a Pete there, but unfortunately he does not have the Pete.
Correct.
However, it's still going to be a tough pickle for Hector to climb out of here.
And it looks like Hector's got a Hiram and 2 big Sisus in hand.
Okay, Hiram. So Hiram will draw him some cards, but the big Sisus are not going to do it. We don't have Ice Block or anything like that. So unless we draw a way to shrink these guys down to size, it is going to be a little bit of a rough
it looks like it might be game depending on what's drawn. So it looks like what was just drawn by Hector was a Brawl.
Brawl, that's not going to do it.
It's not. I mean, unless he can figure out a way to pull a Ice Block or something.
He's got to hire him, so that's going to be one of the only things he can do here. Getting rid of the Popsicle. And then, truthfully, he could draw into his only Medusa, but that only gets rid of one of the characters here.
Correct. Yeah, he's looking for something to give him the draw. He finds the ice. He finds an Ice Blocks.
He buys the block.
So 1 for the Ice Block tapped. He uses it to bring the Robin Hood down by 1 strength. He's shifting the Sisu, which puts him in a position to take out the beast. So Hector has figured out a way to clear this board.
So he quests with the Toa, and I didn't notice. That's right, because block was already in the discard pile. So he was able to grab it back. Very high IQ play from Hector there. Being able to stay in the zone and clear off the board yet again.
While his head is smooth, his brain is not. And so we have to keep that in mind about Hector.
That was a sick line from Hector. I agree with you, 100% automatic. Everybody, I could hear everybody watching the commentary out there.
They're watching the stream.
And they can't believe it either. We have the commentary on the big screen out there, and
Yeah.
people are watching, trying to see who's going to be our first champion here. And Dylan just doing everything he can to just not go to game 3.
Yeah, and Hector's saying, I don't care, we're doing this. We're going to game 3.
Hector spreading out his 100 ink here. Not too crazy.
Yeah,
Be careful with your hand.
Watch out, Hector.
Watch your hand there,
Yeah,
bud.
watch your hand, bud.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, that was a great play.
Yeah,
I agree with chat. That
Yeah.
was a really sick play. And these are the kind of players we play with down here in Florida, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, locals are hard. Locals are rough down here, guys.
Yeah, set champs down here are basically DLCs.
Yeah,
it's insane.
We got a lot of competition down here, guys. So if you ever guys want to come and play somewhere where you'll know you'll be playing with the best, definitely come hang out with us in Florida, specifically here at Southside Games. Really great experience for everybody so far. As Hector turns 8 ink into a new crab. All right,
Wow,
he
yeah.
is just right now. He's in the zone. He's in the matrix right now.
Yeah, he's seeing all the ones and zeros.
He's Neo right now. He's just
Yeah.
seeing everything as it happens.
Yeah, and he's in a position where he might be able to, but let's see if he can deal with that SME. If he can't deal with the SME,
The Hiram has yet to quest.
okay. So
He's gonna shrink.
yep.
And then he's gonna quest with the Hiram, I would guess.
He
has
the brawl, plays a brawl, so he had it. So keeping that board, yeah, he's gonna go ahead and quest again with a Tamatoa.
Holy cow!
That's gonna net him 3. He's got 2
Does
items
he have
on the
anything
board.
else he can get back or no?
I don't think he popped anything.
No, but he's just gonna pop it now.
Yep. Yeah, he's gonna pop exactly. He's gonna pop it now with the Hiram to draw 2. All right, so we're looking at 13 to 19 right now. If Dylan cannot deal with these Tamatoas next turn,
I think he's thinking about whether or
Yeah.
not he's gonna pop with the
Dylan asking for the heart of the cards.
Genie's not gonna
He
do
finds
it.
the genie. He's hoping the genie nets him something that will be of value here. Let's see if it does.
Even if it draws him a card, it won't be
It
enough.
is a
No.
big.
And we go to game 3. Holy cow!
Hector just did that thing that he does.
19 lore for Dylan.
Yes.
I mean, he could taste the victory, and Hector just rips it out of his hands.
Yes.
Our first, or last game rather, on the way here.
Yeah.
All right, so we throw down the Robin Hood and a pass from Dylan.
Dylan probably did not want to do that. But
I would imagine not, but he's only playing 8-1 drops, so
yeah, it's going to happen.
it's gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I wouldn't say it's the end of the world for Dylan.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, you go into a turn 2 with a SME, not a horrible place to be at this point. Against Hector,
Okay,
with
Blue Fairy.
Blue Fairy's not a bad spot either. It's going to take a little while for Hector to build some steam.
Mm-hmm.
Might be able to net some draw from it if he has Aladdin in for turn 3.
Sure.
So, you're right. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I see Fire the Cannons in hand for Dylan. A little bit of a dead card here.
Yeah.
Versus Hector. I mean, you can hit a Tipo here and there, but he's not even playing Chichas in his list right now. He's not playing Chichas.
No,
so,
no Chichas.
So not a lot of targets for that Fire the Cannons, but
Right.
Dylan drawing for turn here. And does he have a nice curve turn 3 to play? We shall see. Debating on inking that Robin Hood there just because he doesn't have the shift line.
Yeah, and we're thinking through. You want to take advantage of that Blue Fairy. At some point, you have to imagine you're playing against Red Blue. There's a brawl coming. There's a Sisu coming at some point, and so you need to take advantage of it as much as you can.
I like this. He plays the Tinkerbell, which will be another evasive threat here.
Yep.
And pretty much tells Hector, hey, do you have Brawl?
Right.
Or do you have the turn 3 Sisu?
Do you has, in fact, is what's being said.
Yep. Fire the Cannons is great at cleaning up Maui after hits. That's definitely for sure.
That is true.
It does have targets, but just nothing clean that it just, 1-for-ones for sure. And Gabe's sending us up on the elevator yet again.
That's right. You're welcome.
he keeps hitting the button on this raising desk here. All right. Yeah.
They want you, if you guys are down,
Yeah.
to interview the winner.
Yeah, we are.
Over?
Yeah, we
we
are.
talked about
Alright,
yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right. We're just getting some heads up from the front desk here, so
Yeah,
appreciate your patience.
What they don't know is we've already decided to do that.
Yeah.
We're just making decisions. We don't even work
yeah,
here.
we made an executive decision. They're like, hey, we're going to do this. And we're like, yeah, we're going to do
yeah,
that.
don't worry about it, buddy.
We
You're
got
good.
it. We got it.
We figured it out.
All right, so he did have that 3-drop Sisu to cleanly take out that Tinkerbell, essentially nullifying Dylan's last turn here and
Yeah.
putting the ball in his court.
Yeah.
So now we will see Dylan, who actually does find a clean answer to
He
it
does.
with the fire the cannons we were talking about.
Yeah, and interesting choice here, choosing the Tinkerbell, of course,
Yeah.
telling us that Hector respects the shift lines. Even if it means maybe letting Dylan draw a couple more with those blue fairies.
Absolutely, and now these blue fairies are really going to start cranking it if he's able to put together a couple of Floodborns here, because he will be drawing 2 per
Yes.
Floodborn.
Oh yeah.
And that can be quite problematic if you are Hector, because you do not want your opponent to keep drawing so many cards.
No.
Hector lays down the Grandma.
Yep. Grandma Tala to look at the top 2 cards, choose one that goes to the hand, one that goes into the bottom of the deck.
Absolutely. And Tala, unfortunately, not an evasive.
No.
She is not elusive, as some people may think she is, and unable to challenge these blue fairies. So they will live to quest again, and let's see if Dylan can put together a Floodborn here.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal play here would probably have to be a beast. You get to draw 2 for that beast.
Beast would be nuts, but any Floodborn will do.
Like an Aladdin.
I'll take that.
And it deals with items,
will
which
take
is
that.
what you need against Hector. So
I will take that. That is a draw 2.
yeah,
Essentially a free friends on the other side for playing that. So that is a great feeling for Dylan to get some gas there. And still has 2 evasive threats that can continue to quest.
absolutely. Yeah, this is setting up Dylan for a great time. Like this mid game is going to be fantastic for Dylan as he approaches towards the end game. He needs to figure out how to get as much lore on the table as possible before Hector goes into a sequence where he's sitting at 6, 7, 8 ink. So anything that Dylan can do to start climbing that mountain, he needs to figure that out, because the game changes against Red Blue dramatically as Hector and Red Blue in general falls into that like turn 7, ink 7 situation.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. And we do see currently Hector with no immediate response to these fairies, so they continue to tick away. And they have Dylan at 4 already. Hector is going to ice block the Aladdin, and we can only guess that, okay, he's playing the rat. All right. Just because I'm playing, just kidding, and the final place. Yeah, we did. Hey, we did have some Steel Song. Well, I won't say Steel Song.
Yeah, I was gonna say Steel Song is maybe not the right term for some of these decks we saw.
Candio was playing a Amber Steel deck. I wouldn't call it a Steel Song deck.
It had songs in it.
There were songs in the deck, but it wasn't an aerial deck, wasn't a whole new world deck. So, like I said, we've been seeing a lot of variety today. Even the colors that you recognize are not the decks that you think that they are.
Yeah.
I would say Hector probably playing one of the closer traditional red blue style decks today.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the others.
I would definitely say Hector's deck is one of the more familiar ones for sure.
Yeah. Hector's just boring, is what it is.
No, but we love him. We love him just the same.
Boring.
Although there is something to be said about
he had the
consistency.
opportunity to play red blue Pabby, and instead we're getting this Tamatoa deck.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on, guys.
I mean, would Hector be playing in this matchup right now if he was playing Red Blue Plabby? I'd say yes.
You don't have enough faith in Hector. I do.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're drawing another 2 cards.
That is
my
crazy.
goodness.
Yeah, the draw right now is so crazy on this side here. And
Unbelievable.
being asked if Hector is on dimes right now in the
Hector
chat.
is playing 1 dime.
He's playing a single dime in
1
this deck.
dime.
Yes.
10
single-
cents.
That's right.
Just 10 cents is all he's playing.
Lucky or not,
It's gonna have to be lucky if he's playing just 1.
Yeah, that's right. It's whether it's lucky or not, it's still worth 10 cents.
He was going for like thematic. He's like, if we're gonna be lucky, it's gotta be 1.
It's got to be 1. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So these Aladdins, really effective in this matchup, but just chipping away at these items. Obviously, Hector currently itemless.
Yes.
But the Aladdins will make sure that it does not continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like we will be inking and playing a Pete.
All right, so actions are off the table for next turn for Hector.
And these blue fairies just doing their best Pascal impression here.
They
and
are.
just poking at 1, 1, 1, 1. Aladdin trading in. I do like that.
Yep.
And you're passing it back. And both of these Aladdins have just given so much value.
They have.
Being able to draw 2 cards and trade into the characters on board for Hector.
Yeah.
So that is, absolutely great. It looks like a Genie and a Calhoun in play, or in the hand. Actually, he does not play Calhoun.
He does not play Cahoons, yeah.
So what is that I saw? I've been seeing a lot of Calhouns today.
Yeah, we'll take a closer look at that. Now we do know that Hector has
Genie.
vision.
Oh, it looks like a Zeus, I believe. Genie and a Zeus.
We know Hector's currently sitting with visions of the future and Brawl in his hand.
Okay.
For those of you that are curious,
So Brawl. I mean, can hit only the fairy right now, right?
yes,
Which is fine.
yeah.
I'm not sure that's what you wanted. Yeah. So I'd rather do much better. And now if he has the Brawl, he can maybe kill off both the fairies.
Yeah.
And that may be worth it. But we'll see what else Hector has in his hand.
Yeah, and I think that, the value that we've seen Dylan get from these blue fairies has been crazy. You're talking about...
Pete is blocking actions. Good call.
Yep, thank you for that.
Good call, Eye in the Sky. Yeah, Pete is blocking the action,
Yeah,
so no Brawl.
Brawl cannot be played. Thank you for that. But yeah, so that Sisu did come in clutch. It did help to remove the one blue fairy. Blue fairy has been a menace this game. So far it's drawn 4 cards off of the 2 Aladdins that have come down so far.
Mm-hmm.
So the value on those blue fairies have been pretty high.
Absolutely, and a blue fairy. We did see some blue fairy decks back in the day that were very fun looking decks, and
All right.
we see it just coming back.
Yeah, we see a giant fairy Tinkerbell coming down, and that is going to net another draw from the blue fairy.
Absolutely, more cards drawn, and some cards banished off the field here. And Tinkerbell, although normally not incredibly good in this matchup, really presenting a reliable threat here.
Yeah.
So we will go for 2 more.
And you're right about that Pascal effect, though. The blue fairy is just striking along.
That fairy is just 20 turn clock right now.
Yeah.
No Brawl, Pete, yeah. Oh, thank you, George. Thank you guys for keeping us honest. Sorry, yeah, Pete was definitely the reason we couldn't Brawl. You guys are absolutely correct, so my mistake on that.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for the compliments again. We've worked really hard today to try to make sure the stream runs out without a hitch. I know Stefan, I know you guys don't see him, but he's behind the scenes making sure everything operates good. So it does take a village, and I'm very thankful for the team we have here to put on this production for you guys today, so you guys can enjoy some Lorcana, because we enjoy it so much, and we just wanted to share it with you guys, so you guys can enjoy it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been such a good time.
And the prep.
Oh, here we go. Yep, be prepared. It's the table.
Prep. All right, reset.
Yeah, so we're at now. We're at Dylan's got 8, Hector's got 3. We've got a board wipe.
Hector with 1 card in hand. It looks like.
Yes, Hector with 1 card in hand, significantly more lore, but
the genie.
Dylan does get a genie to continue that card advantage.
Yeah, Dylan just drawing cards, the name of the game.
And just to clarify, Hector did pull that Be Prepared from the Vision of the Future that he played. So yeah, he was able to dig for that.
Yeah, Visions has been clutch. Been able to find Hector what he needs in multiple occasions this set.
Yeah.
And let's see if he continues to be able to find what he needs. Only kind of unsatisfying thing about the Vision is, unfortunately, you do get to take that 1 card you really need, but if any of the other 4 cards are good, you gotta say goodbye to them because they cannot come with you. They gotta go to the bottom of the deck there.
Yeah,
so.
and that includes potentially that single lucky dime that is sitting in Hector's deck.
Could be, absolutely. So we do see Tamatoa, and he is gonna come back and grab something shiny from the discard pile.
Yep.
And let's see what he pulls out. All right, it looks like an ice block. All right, ice block able to shrink something. If he so chooses.
Yeah.
But he does not have the ink at the moment to play the ice block, so he will keep it in hand and pass it back over to Dylan. Dylan currently at 9 to Hector's 3.
Yeah.
He does have 3 lore available, which is going to be hard to interact with since that genie is evasive.
Yep.
Here you can see Rabbit and Genie in unison, living in perfect harmony together. So you're right. You can have them both. You don't have to pick and choose.
I told you.
They are living harmoniously.
There is a world that they can both coexist.
That's it. And we have 3 lore on the board. And Dylan, once again, creeping closer. But if we learn anything from Hector, we know that the number is just a number.
Right, don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, like they say, age is just a number, or lore is just a number too.
Well, there's also a number.
It's just a number, and unless it's 20, the game is not over.
It is not.
So Hector continues to find a way to turn this game around, and we'll see if he's able to put it together.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. 12 is not super dangerous. We know that goats are present to deal with, but there is no bounce in Dylan's deck, as we've discussed. So it's annoying, but it's not necessarily as high value as we'd expect
sure.
in this scenario, but can still present some issues.
For sure, for sure. Hector really thinking about what his options are here. If he loses by one lore, he's going to regret that Pete challenge on Tipo. Yeah. We'll see how it comes down to. Wouldn't be the first time today that we saw somebody lose by one lore. Misplays, but these high stake games, every lore counts.
And a new set means a new understanding of the way cards interact. Brawl to get rid of the genie. Yeah.
All right. Brawl really doing some heavy lifting in this matchup.
Yeah, it did.
I know people were cutting Brawls at the end of the last set, but I think Brawl 4 is just an absolute necessity right now.
It's so important. I mean, as we discussed early in the set, aggro tends to take its place.
Right.
To get rid of it, especially at the start of this set, is.
But even Genies and Tinkerbell, like 3-drop Tinkerbells and stuff like that. Genie just being a really big one. I mean, Genie.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a clean answer for a 4 defense. But.
Yeah, I mean, and with every new set, there's more cards that'll come out that are 1 or 2. So technically, Brawl's value always increases every set.
Yeah, looks good so far. All right, we see
a rabbit.
Just throwing himself in front of the crab, trying to gain some
card advantage.
Yeah, some new cards. There is the genie. He's back. He's been wished.
Yeah.
Back, and the Zeus to finish off the Tamatoa.
Okay. All right.
Which is a really nice play here from Dylan, as Dylan continues to quest ahead. Smee leading the pack, and we have 4 lore in play for the next turn, possibly. But there is a let it go. Hector says no. I'm gonna keep fighting back. Hector went from having a single, quill in his hand, fishbone quill, to now a third genie. Yeah. Oh my God, wow. Genie with the 3 wishes here.
Absolutely.
And he is back for the 3rd wish. And this one's foil, guys, so this one is gonna stick, I think.
I think so too. And at this point, Hector's just got to be thinking like, okay, what are the play lines here? How do I get out of this? He's watching Dylan just drop more cards, more advantage, getting closer.
Oh God, I don't want to look, guys.
Yeah, it's
starting to look more like
we're in the end game.
Dylan is really creeping in here to the end. And Hector extends the hand, and Dylan is our first ever Azurite C champion for 4 cases. Congratulations to both these players on an amazing set, but definitely congratulations to Dylan. Do you want me to go grab him and see if he'll join us?
Yes, I think what we'll do is we're going to just take a short, like the shortest break, to just make sure to see where they're at, and we are going to jump right back. So don't go anywhere. We're going to grab the winners, and we're going to be back